Let's get this going and ready and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello everybody and welcome to the Real Estate Social Rockstar Show. We have a banging show for you today. This show is going to be something that's going to help you grow your careers. Let me just jump into what we're going to be talking about. We have the infamous Rachel Adams on our show. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Rachel, and then Rachel is going to do an amazing job telling you about herself. Rachel went from zero, meaning she started as an agent, 3 years later, she became one of the top 1,000 real estate agents in the country. All right, 0 to 1,000 in 3 years. That's what I call acceleration in the 5th gear. Hey, Rachel, thank you so much for joining us on the show. How you doing?
I'm awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It's fun to get to kind of share the failing forward, crazy, messy journey it's been, you know?
Yeah, I'm super excited. So let me tell you how cool Rachel is. Rachel is so cool that I wasn't even able to become a Facebook friend with her until a few minutes ago because she's maxed out. She is too cool for school. But seriously, she's awesome, and I feel really fortunate and blessed that you agreed to come on the show. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Rachel, can you tell everyone a little bit about yourself? Because I know you're an agent and you're a coach and you're a rock star. Tell people about yourself.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I'm stoked to be here. I think it's fun. You have awesome energy, and there's so many people that I looked up to in my career. So if there's anything I can ever do to pay it forward to our industry, I always want to, and to not make it like this shiny, perfect picture that everyone thinks it is that they see on Facebook, to know that it's been a pretty messy ride, and it still is, but it's also beautiful. So I'm 32 years old, and I am the CEO of 4 companies at this point. I have 3 that are real estate related. I have a traditional real estate team in Sacramento and Placer County in the Bay Area. I'm still in production. I have a real estate coaching business, a webinar series. I have an investment business, so it's R&R Investments, and I launched it with my fiance. And then I also have Lost to Found in 90 Days, which is kind of my personal development, my passion project. So I run the 4 companies. I just got engaged in September of this year. So next year is going to be, thank you. Next year is going to be full of wedding planning and business and purpose. And it is the year of giving for me. That's my theme for next year. Every year I have a theme for how I'm going to really attack the year. And last year was authenticity. This year was intention. And next year is going to be giving.
Fantastic. So Rachel, you're doing a lot of things. You're obviously quite busy. Can you describe to us, and actually before we get into this, I want everybody to know what we're going to be talking about today, because it's a crazy topic and it is a big question and it's a cliffhanging question. So I asked Rachel, how the heck did she go from 0 to being the top 1,000 agent? Guys, it's huge in the country, top 1,000 agents. What more do you want? How did she do that? And she's going to answer that question and instruct and advise and as she said, pay it forward and share with us how you can do that in your next 3 years. That's what we're going to talk about. But can I ask you a little bit about your team? Can you describe your team so we can understand that part of your business?
Absolutely. So the team, we've got 11 full-time agents on the team, and we kind of have our structure broken down into lead gen. So we have one division, which is lead gen and marketing. And the way I want you to think about that is it's kind of the Rainmaker. So that's mostly my job, right? So I'm in charge of making sure that I do public speaking events, training, webinars, lots of stuff on Facebook, as much as I can do to get as much, eyes on the team to get the leads to come in so that it rains leads, right? and then
now is that buyers, sorry to stop you there, is that buyer, seller, renter leads, or is that recruiting?
That is, so for me, Rainmaking is I am in charge of talent acquisition and then buyer and seller leads. That's really what it is for me. Talent acquisition, I'm always looking for new agents to join the team that are hungry and want a really big life. We work just as much on personal development on our team as we do business. Your business only grows to the extent that you do. It's a bold law from a course that I've taken, and I love it. And I believe a lot in it. So so the lead gen and marketing department is myself and then a woman named Melanie, and she is my director of lead generation. And what her role is to make sure that I never miss a lead. I get leads in text messages. I get tagged in Facebook posts. I have voicemails. I have emails. And I will tell you, if you just give me a Post-it, I'm going to lose it. Like, it's not my strength. So Melanie kind of scrubs through my world to make sure that all my leads have a place to go. We use Boomtown as our contact management system. So all our leads go into Boomtown, are assigned tasks and, round robin to agents. And then we have the admin division, and my admin division is a chief operating officer named Carla. And she basically makes sure that my speaking schedule is handled, that the agents are happy, that the team runs. She really echoes as me in transactions as well. So she knows everything that's going on with the whole team. I get a weekly profit and loss. The year-to-date reports come every single Monday, so super dialed in there. And then we have an executive assistant who handles all open houses and sign installations, that kind of stuff, schedules pictures. And then we have, then we have a runner who just makes sure that, flyers are put out for us, that kind of thing. And then we have a virtual assistant in the Philippines who handles all the back end marketing. And then we have the sales division. So sales division, we have the listing side, and I'm still in production. So I handle all the listings. I'm the lead listing agent. And then we have the buyer division, and I have a lead buyer's agent named Patrick Smith. He runs that division, and we have 10 agents underneath him. And we also have one showing agent for the team.
So just to make sure I understand, understand that you're the one that goes out and takes out all the listings for the team?
Yep.
Gotcha. Is there anyone else that takes listings?
They can. Every agent. So when I started the team, I was thinking, if it was flipped and I was on a team, what would make me stay? I'm not interested in teaching someone how to do real estate, investing in them, and then them leaving, right? So for me, it was, how do I make my world big enough that it can fit all of their goals, their dreams, their vision? So that means me getting out of the way. Like, no joke, when I got in the business, I had an EGO. I wanted my face on every sign. I was like, it was all about me. And if you make it all about you when you're trying to build a team, you're going to fail. And I did. I fell flat on my face, like it was a mess. And then I got to rebuild and had the opportunity to kind of honestly almost like take a line, a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle. On one side, I said, this is what I expect from you. And on the other side, it was, this is what you can expect from me. So then going into, launching a team the next time, I was very clear with expectations, and it was much more successful. So everybody on the team can take listings, but they do it with me. I'm the lead agent with every listing.
Gotcha. So you were just saying that you wanted to build, and you built a world big enough where people could work with inside your world and they can reach their goals. Yeah. If you could clarify, the one thing I want a little more clarification is by you being in that listing agent position, how does that create that world?
Well, it's good question. So a lot of times when people go on a real estate team, they're told they can't take listings. They only can be a buyer's agent. And I didn't want them to feel restricted. So I thought, well, I'm going to let them take listings as well. And in fact, I'm going to teach them how to be an amazing listing agent, because there's so much opportunity for growth on our team. And truth be told, by the end of next year, I'd like to be out of listing production. So I'm looking for my replacement. And they all know that. But no matter what, all agents are able to take listings on the team. They're just co-listed.
Gotcha. Okay. Now that makes complete sense. Okay, great. So now you're at a point, obviously, where you have this well-oiled machine and departments and divisions. You get your profit and loss statements every Monday. You have a real company. You have a CEO or CFO, whatever you even titled it.
I don't know how it happened.
Well, it happened with intention, which is what you said last year was about. So my question to you is, let's dial back to when you started. Because a lot of people that are watching the show, going to listen to this on a podcast, or going to watch this on the replay, are agents that would aspire to be in your position, would aspire to have the track that you've had, but they're starting in the business and they don't even know where to start, how to begin. So what I'd like you to, and a lot of people work really hard for 3 years and end up somewhere where they started. So if you could walk people through somewhat of a roadmap and answer that question, how did you go from 0 to 1,000 when everyone else goes from 0 to 0?
You bet. It's a great question. I think the first thing you have to do when you get in the business is know that you're not alone. And the first thing I did is I joined Keller Williams. So I joined a brokerage that was very much education based, and they had a really specific culture. So their culture was God first, then your family, and then your business. I think a lot of times people have it flip-flopped, right? And so I got in the business, and people say, you know, they're paycheck to paycheck. I was paycheck behind a paycheck. I mean, I'm borrowing money from family, friends, my nail lady, you name it, I was borrowing. And we kept saying, I just remember always saying like, one more paycheck and I'll be okay. One more paycheck and I'll be okay. But when you're paycheck behind a paycheck, like you need a few. And so what I did is I went to my real estate office and I asked for the agents that were in the top 20% in production. And like I said, I didn't want to reinvent the wheel. I just wanted to hop on. And I figured if there's people in my office that are doing what I want to do at a high level, why not interview them? Why not spend 20 minutes with each one of them and ask? The worst they can say is no. So I get this list of agents and I have no time to waste because I'm impatient and I'm a driver. And so I went to number one. And his name was John Brophy. And I walked downstairs to his office and I have like my business card and I knock on his door and he answers. And I'm like, hey, John, my name's Rachel Adams. I just got my real estate license and I'm wondering if you can take me to a cup of coffee and share with me how you started your business. And he's like, doesn't it go the other way? Like, aren't you supposed to take me? And I said, you know, John, I would take you, but I can't actually afford a cup of coffee right now. I was like, I promise that if you invest in me, I'll pay it forward, which literally is why I'm doing this interview right now. Like I want to pay it forward to agents, right? Mm-hmm. So John invested in me and he told me that if I didn't have the money to advertise with like bench ads and magazines and all of that, that I needed to get ready for blisters. And I did not know that he meant literally. When I started my business, I didn't have money. I mean, I was really, really financially struggling, but I was driven. And so I started to study scripts and I started like for anyone right now starting, I would say go on YouTube. And if you want to learn listing scripts, type in listing scripts. If you want to learn buyer scripts, type in buyer scripts. Like you can be so specific about what you're looking for and it's out there. So I started to study scripts and you know, I realized that I'm only going to do what a top producer would do. So I'm going to model and match top producers. If they won't do it, say it, speak it, act it, then I won't either. And I just plugged in. My first year, I door knocked 200 doors a week and did 3 open houses every single week for the first 8 months.
Doors, you said 200 doors a week?
Yeah, and then 3 open houses a week. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I'm happy to share like any scripts. I'm happy to share times to door knock, like anything anyone wants to know, I'm down to share. But I was able to close 39 deals my first year. And then it was 109 and then 123. And, you know, this year we're at, like this minute, we're at like 43 million for the year. My goal was 50. And next year, my goal is 75.
Nice.
Yeah.
So new agent jumps into the business and let's try to get into like the ABCs of, you know, the first year in the business. Okay. Yeah. So let's start. Hey, my name is Michael Meier. I just started in the business yesterday. I don't really know anyone in my city. I'm a really, really hardworking and I'll do whatever you tell me to do. Yeah. What should I go do for the next 6 months? I promise I'll do every single thing you tell me to do.
I love it. Okay, well, Michael, the first thing I want you to do is I want you to sit down with, and what we're going to do is we're going to sit down and we're going to talk about all the limiting beliefs you have in real estate. I want you to share with me your fears. I want you to share with me your worries. I want you to share with me everything that you think about real estate. And so what would happen is you could say, I just moved into the area. I don't know anybody. I can't find, I'm not going to get any listings. And so what we do first is we take all your fears and all your negatives and we turn them into positives. So we take your negatives and turn them into positive affirmations. So you don't know anyone, you haven't sold a house. I'm a top producer in my marketplace and everyone loves to list with me. Right? And you start to, so any negative thing that you feel, you flip it and you think, okay, this is my worry. This is my fear. How can I change this into an I do, I have, I am. So I do, I am, I have, right? So you turn it as if, like what I realized is it's not about who I am right now. It's about who I want to become. And if I want to become a top producer, then I speak like a top producer. I act like a top producer. I time block like a top producer. So the next thing I do with you is I'd sit down and we'd look at your schedule, and I'd have you bring your schedule out, and I would ask you about your family. I'd want to know if you have kids, if you're married, what time you wake up in the morning, what time you go to bed, what time do you have lunch, what do you eat for breakfast? And we'd start to talk about that good real estate agents fuel themselves with good food, and that we don't want to be the agent that's constantly running and grabbing junk. And I gained 30 pounds my first year in real estate because I didn't know that. So I would come at you now with what I should have done then.
Am I seeing another business opening up that deals with weight control for real estate agents?
Probably. It's in my book.
How to avoid gaining 50 pounds in your first year in the business with Rachel Adams. Boom.
You can do the forward for the next book.
Oh, I will totally do it. Do I need to like first gain weight and then lose it, and we can have like the
I need it really impressive before and after that, or we'll just like spray tan abs onto you. We got this.
And then I'll get like branded like a Rachel Adams, like lost 50 with Rachel Adams, you know,
Absolutely.
like made 50 million and lost 50 pounds.
Put my name somewhere on your body. We're good.
So okay, cool. So new agent, they came in and you're adjusting their limiting beliefs, and you are getting them to time block their calendar. And okay, now they're positive and they have a calendar, and they come back to you and they say to you, okay, so you know, I'm gonna give you a limiting belief. You know, I don't know anybody, so you're telling me like, do I need to like cold call and like knock on doors?
Well, now cold calling, if you're cold calling, you're assuming, if you're doing it through any kind of system, you're assuming you have enough money to pay for a system. And now my team uses Vulcan 7. We used to use Mojo. And I didn't have the money back then to pay for it. So what I would encourage you to do is go as far as your 2 feet can carry you. And so what I would encourage you to do as a new agent is to look at an area. So the first thing you need to do is we need a goal set. How many houses do you want to sell this year? You want to look at how many houses you want to sell and how much money you want to make. And then what we need to do is we need to figure out, based on that, what your average price point is going to be. If you want to make a certain amount of money, but you're door knocking in neighborhoods that are 250,000 and below, and that doesn't match your goals, then I'm going to tell you you're door knocking in the wrong neighborhood. So we'd want to make sure that your time counts, right? Where you're spending your time matters. And so you're going to want to be looking for a specific area that you're going to be door knocking first, that you want to actually gain market share in. And there needs to be a high enough absorption rate. So there needs to be enough houses being bought and sold that it's worth your time. And then you're going to knock as far as your 2 feet can carry you. And what I will tell you is my shift really happened with my business when I didn't make it about buying or selling a house. When I knocked on their door, I came from it like if it was flipped and I was knocking on your door, what would I want you to feel? What would I want you to say? Like, how would I want you to receive me? And I wanted to take the fear out of it. So I had a script I came up with for open houses that had nothing to do with open houses. And then I had when I would door knock the neighborhoods, in July, I Googled all the local firework locations. And I shared a list of all the local places they could watch fireworks. And I'd knock on the door and I'd say, hey there, my name's Rachel Adams. I'm your local real estate expert. I just wanted to stop by and let you know that I have taken the liberty to find out all the places to watch fireworks this 4th of July. A lot of your neighbors were excited about this list. So I wanted to make sure that you got a copy of it. Would you like a copy? And they said, yeah. And then I say, and then by the way, if you're looking to buy or sell a house, my office. So at the time, I couldn't say that it was me that sold 135 houses because I hadn't sold a single house. And this is a really good thing for people to know. Mm-hmm. Go to your office, go to your market center every single month and ask how many houses that they sold, right? Ask how many houses they sold. And then that can be the stats that you use. Because if you don't have the sales behind you, it would be a limiting belief I would have if I were you that would be like, well, I don't have the sales, so I can't knock. And reality is you absolutely can knock on that door because your office sold 135 houses last month. And so clearly you guys are doing something right. So a lot of their neighbors are wanting to know how much their house is worth. Did they want in on that list? So when I'm knocking, I was contributing. We just did a Thanksgiving canned food drive where we walked around with brown grocery bags and had our flyers stapled on the outside. and let them know a lot of their neighbors were interested in helping feed 25 families for the holiday season. And did they want to as well?
That's fantastic. You know, it's funny. So I have a brokerage here in New York City, Meier Real Estate, and
Yeah.
I'm always telling agents, assume the successes of the office as your own.
Yeah.
Because effectively we work as a team. You could open up your own shop if you wanted to. You don't.
Yeah.
You work within a company. You work in a
Yeah.
team, and we all help one another in some way, shape, or form,
Yeah.
or we wouldn't be working together.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, people should always. That's a great thing. In our marketplace, unfortunately, we can't really knock on doors because it's a vertical market. It's all buildings, and
Cool.
you know you can't knock on in a condominium on someone's door like they'll call the cops. So in our marketplace, you dial people and you call people, and people always say to me, same question, you know, the fears, the limiting beliefs, like, well, I haven't sold a home. What am I supposed to call and tell people about? And
so you know, your office.
Yeah, exactly. My office just sold an apartment down the hall from you, and it sold for you know, an above market price, whatever it is. And I thought you might be surprised to know what your home is worth, and you know, you're curious, and whatever your script is, but share value. Don't say, you don't even have to. Do you want to sell your home? You know, are you curious to know how much your home has gone up in value? Yeah. We're really excited to share with everybody how awesome the sale was.
You know, we're having a lot of success right now with talking about how the elections just happened, and it's changed our market up a little bit. So did they want to see what their house is worth now after the elections? And people are like, oh my gosh, what? So people who would like not give us the time of day, we're using the election script and they're all over it, you know?
That's fantastic. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Okay, so now let's say I'm an agent and I come to you and I say, well, first of all, I was going to say I'm scared to get on the phones, right? Yeah. And so I know that you were just saying, well, you know, see how that person would want to be received on the phones, flip your script, so to speak. Yeah. Is there anything else that you would advise? Are there just agents that just, you know, that can be successful without getting on the phones and without door knocking?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, maybe if you don't want to go on the phones and you don't want to door knock, then you could do business to business presentations. One example that I can give is that I'm the last one of my friends without kids. And I realized that I wanted to hang out with my friends, but I'm supposed to be lead generating. I'm supposed to be, you know, getting real estate business, but I didn't want to make it about selling houses. So I partnered with one of my girlfriends that runs a local moms group. And I said, hey, is it possible that I can come hang out with you and sponsor an event? I will bring some mimosas and snacks for the moms. I'll have a local nanny that's hanging out. We'll have noodle necklaces and Play-Doh. So we'll have a designated area for the kids with a nanny watching the kids. The mom can hang out in the kitchen and schmooze and just have a little break. And she was like, absolutely. So I called it Mommies and Mimosas and Kids and Crafts. And we host about a 2-hour event. I don't talk about real estate the entire time, but at the very, very end, I stand up like 10 minutes till, and I just say, hey there, my name's Rachel Adams. I'm your local real estate agent. I just wanted to thank you so much for giving me your morning. I'm sure, I saw you all having a great time, and that really was the point of this for me. But I did want you to know that, if you are interested in selling a house, and then I go into my script of buying, selling, and, also for people that are renting, I would let them know that they could be actually owning their own home and be paying less than they're paying right now. So right now they're paying someone else's mortgage. Why don't they try paying their own? And there's great deals out there. So I just a 10-minute little spiel. My last event cost me $425, and then we closed $2.5 million in production. Wow. And Fox 40 heard about the event, so they came to my next one. Well, then guess what happens? A bunch of moms groups are like, we want the mimosa realtor. And you start to do it. And then Patrick, one of my agents, was like, I'm clearly not going to host a mommy and mimosa event. Like, that's really weird for me. So what we did for Patrick is he's doing like poker and cigars. So he's getting business owners together, hosting a poker and cigar night. The lender's going to help pay half for us, so we watch our profit and loss. And again, it's not about selling real estate. It's about building a relationship. We just happen to be in the business of buying and selling houses. So it's pretty interesting when you go through building a business without actually thinking, okay, I'm here to buy and sell houses. For me, it's about building relationships. And what I found is to have that one person that has that whole sphere of influence around them, like all the decision makers and the people who really make a big difference in building their business,
Yeah, that's fantastic. So Everything that you're saying, you're bringing some great points, and I really love the mama and mimosa and the cigar and scotch, and you guys are some cool realtors to hang out with as well. So I would not want to, do business with you. It's all fantastic. Taking that now to the next step. So now I'm an agent and I decide to start putting some events together and to doing those kinds of things. How do I go from making a friend here and there and doing some events here and there to exploding to becoming such a top producing team like you have? What differentiates what you did from what other people do, where they, just do a few transactions here and there with some of their friends?
I think what starts to happen is, first off, like, I'm super consistent. So some people will tell me I'm going to door knock, and they'll door knock they'll door knock for 2 weeks and not get results and get pissed off and then send me an email and tell me that my advice didn't work. And I love that they think it's going to take 2 weeks to get results. Like, you are door knocking consistently in a neighborhood for 3 to 6 months before you start seeing the results. But you start to be really consistent. And the other thing you have to be willing to do is you have to be willing to let go of some of the control, which was difficult for me, which means you need to know your role. I know for me, I am not good at getting disclosures out there. I mean, I can write an offer, obviously, but it's not my strength. My strength is building relationships and building rapport, right? Mm-hmm. So when I had 3 to 5 transactions at one time, I hired a transaction coordinator. And the transaction coordinator was paid through escrow at the time of close. So it was nothing out of my pocket, because I was like, I can't hire an assistant. I don't have any money, right? Mm-hmm. So I hired a transaction coordinator. She took all of the stuff that wasn't my strengths off my table, because your job as a real estate agent is going out there and negotiating as many deals as you possibly can and building relationships. The next person I hired for me, which again, this enabled me to absolutely double my buyer business, was a showing agent. And this showing agent works with me, and they help show my buyers properties. Now, a limiting belief I had was that my clients wanted to work with me. And so they would feel like put off if they met Joe, my showing agent. And what I later learned is a script. Well, I created a script. Can I share it with you?
Yes, please share it with us.
Okay. So say you're sitting a buyer broker appointment, which we all do them, right? Every single time you work with a buyer, you have an exclusive buyer broker appointment. So you sign, right? Everybody?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So what happens is you're sitting across the table, and, Michael, say you're my buyer, okay?
Yes.
And Joe is my showing agent. So we're sitting there, and I'm in the buyer broker appointment with you. And I say, Michael, the number one thing that's most important to me is that I can negotiate the best price for you and get you the home of your dreams. The worst thing that would happen is that you want me to show you the house, and I'm not available to show it to you. So what I've done is I've hired Joe. And Joe slides his business card across the table and emails. And Joe has been hired to work with you around your schedule to show you any home that you want. Now, most of our buyers look at 6 houses. Sometimes we look at 8. But anytime that you see a house, and I've already created the custom portal, right? All those saved properties that you found, you're just simply going to contact Joe. And Joe's going to take you to see all the properties you want. And then once you see the properties you want to offer on, you're going to come right back to me. So instead of you feeling put off, like I don't care about you, you now are feeling, oh my gosh, Rachel hired someone to work with me around my schedule. Like, that is top level service. What you don't know is that Joe is married, he's a stockbroker, and that this is a nighttime and weekend job. So you're going to send Joe a list, and you're going to say, Joe, I want to see 4 houses on Thursday and 15 houses on Saturday. And then Joe's going to say, awesome, let me check with the sellers. And the seller's schedule is really, we teach Joe how just to time block as well. So Joe is going to call you, and he's going to say, hey, I love that you're, so excited to buy a house. And I know Rachel talked to you about, narrowing it down to your top 6 to 8. Why don't we do your top 10 houses? So go ahead and save your top 10. Like, there are agents out there that show 31 houses. It's not our team. We don't do it because we set the expectation up front.
So I got a question for you here. You were mentioning that it was originally the limiting belief of yours when you were afraid that people just wanted to work with you as a showing agent, right? So let's throw a different limiting belief that I think a lot of agents have, that if you bring in a showing agent, that agent may forge relationships with your clients, and you might, let's say they leave you one day and they leave your team, and then they're going to take your business. So how do you get over not worrying about losing your business when you grow?
That's really honestly a good question. And, you know, for my showing agents, all of the showing agents have the opportunity to turn into buyer's agents on the team. And one thing I would encourage you to do is to have a contract. So we have a 14-page contract with every single person who works on our team, and non-compete clauses, the whole nine, right? So you want to protect your business and you protect your brand. Now, that being said, ours is mutually binding. If they're not happy in my team environment, then they're welcome to find another opportunity. And sometimes they're not a fit, or they're not doing the standard that we set to be on the team. So I invite them to find another opportunity. But it really is about not having that scarcity mindset, like having an abundant mindset and saying, I know I'm providing an awesome environment for my team. And if somebody chooses to leave, then they choose to leave. Like, I've had a ton of people come on my team and a ton of people leave my team. Now, the place we're at now, people don't really leave the team. They're pretty stoked to stay. And in fact, we have a waiting list of agents that want to join the team. And it's interesting when you have this shift, because it's really easy to worry. And I didn't worry that they would build more rapport with the showing agent, but there is something to being in the trenches with the buyers and unlocking doors and having fun experiences and stuff like that. But it's just really important as the agent to be really on top of your communication. You talk to them before they go out on the showings. You talk to them after the showings to find out how it went. And then you're in communication. So the showing agent is simply there to assist you, but it's still your client, you know?
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So it's a matter of, you can relinquish some of your control, but that doesn't mean that you change your job necessarily.
Exactly.
You keep your intent, you keep the intention still there.
Yeah, and in your appointment with them, when you set it up, you're spending 45 minutes with them, telling them the A to Z's of home buying, all the fees that they can expect, the process, the systems, and you introduce them to their showing agent. And I say, after you see properties with Joe, you're going to come right back to me for the offer and everything else. Now, what Joe will do is Joe would show all the properties, and then he would also unlock for the inspection, because I know how busy I am, and driving out to a property to unlock it and then having to drive back somewhere else, like, didn't work for me. So I sit down with them for the buyer consult, and then I do a final walkthrough I do the walkthrough with them for the inspection, and that's it.
Yeah. That's cool. You know, it's funny. Somebody commented about our branded Meier water that's sitting here on my desk. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I'll tell you the reason why we got these was I have a couple of agents and they're doing really, really well. And they said their difficulty was on Sunday, they have so many people that want to work with them and go to open houses. They can't possibly spend all day, every day with all their people. Yeah. They were running out of, you know, they couldn't take them out. And they were scared that if they just, you know, had buyers go on their own to open houses, that those buyers would be taken by the listing agents of the properties that we're going to see. So I said to them, I said, well, first of all, let's think about that for a second. Let's analyze that. I said, what if, first of all, instead of you presenting it and giving off the energy that you usually spend all Sunday with your clients, what if you presented it that you don't spend all day with clients just walking around seeing houses? You give your clients the liberty to go see what they want to see. You discuss in advance what they're going to see, and you have a formula in place. And part of that formula is you meet them every morning. You meet every one of them Sunday morning before they go out. You give them a list of where they're going. You give them little stickers with your names on it that they stick on the open houses that they go to. So no agent's going to start pitching your client when they're putting a sticker with their name on. You know, with your name on it.
Clearly I'm with someone who has a system.
Yeah, exactly. And then give them out bottles of water saying good luck on your day. And that's why we came up with the bottled branded waters, so that these two agents could give it to their clients. And then we made little ribbons and stuff like that. So yeah, it's you know, a lot of it is just how you present it. And it's funny to see, you know, you saying a similar thing.
Well, and honestly, the whole thing, like success, the reason that people get repeat business from a buyer or a seller is because they set the expectation correctly and then they follow through with the result. And, you know, my conversations, and what I would encourage agents to do is when they have a conversation with their client, and I prep my clients, this is how I tell them how conversations are going to go with me. I say, what you can expect from me is I'm going to tell you what's happening now, and then I'm going to tell you the next step you can expect. And then when I talk about that next step, I tell them what's happening then. And then I say what's happening after that. So I'm always one step ahead of them. And then we have systems to where I have in the buyer broker appointment, I have a so what's next step where it's a sheet and it talks about all the things that happen in an escrow. Same thing with the selling side. And then once they're in contract, they get it sent to them in an email as well. Now, it's not that I'm trying to shove information down their throats or I think they're not listening. I'm trying to make sure that my phone isn't ringing all the time. I want to run my business and not have my business run me. So if I have systems in place, and even if the buyer or the seller feels like they have the information 3 times, well, it's better than them having it 3 times than calling me on a Sunday at 9:00 at night because they don't know what's happening on Monday, right?
Yeah, yeah. All fantastic things. So I'm going to ask you, I'm going to swip the question around another way, and I'm going to go, do you mind if I go a couple of quick fire squad questions, fire line questions? Okay. Number one thing agents do wrong that gets in the way of their success.
Don't practice their scripts.
Don't practice their scripts. Awesome.
Gotta know your objection handlers.
What is the most important thing that an agent needs to have, a skill set that you think is the most important thing that they could do to become successful or to be successful?
Consistency.
Consistency. Great.
That's it. I mean, there's people who suck at scripts, but they're consistently saying them and they close deals.
Yeah. I always remember I used to be in Mike Ferry training, years ago, I've been to a lot of coaches and, love coaching and all that. And he told the story about a guy who barely spoke English, but he would every day go in the office and be like, do you want to sell? 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 And everybody would be like, you guy barely speaks English. And he outperformed everyone in the office because he every day consistently said, do you want to sell? Do you want to sell?
Yeah.
So very cool. And third question, if you were an agent that's starting in the business, you're struggling, you're scared to get on the phones, you're scared to go knock on doors, you're scared to meet people, when you need to speak to 25, 50 people a day and you're talking to like 2, but you're just scared, you don't like talking to random people, what's a big advice you'd give to them?
I would tell them to go ask a top producer if they can shadow them for a week. Like, go hang around someone who is doing what you want to do at a high level and offer to add value to them. If you want me to hand out flyers for you, if you want me to, get you water in the morning, whatever you want me to do, like, offer to add value to that agent and then shadow them. Listen to the scripts they use, listen to what they say, listen to the objections, and then model and match. I think that the fear is super duper normal. And what will happen is, if you're scared to door knock on someone's door, start with calling. Start with calling people, because hanging up on you is a lot less scary for some people than actually having a door slammed in your face. But what you'll realize is that when it might take 10 no's, but when you get your first yes, you are like on fire, and then you're addicted and you're like, I need another yes. I don't care if I get 10 no's, 15 no's. I'm going to go till I get my yes. And for my director of lead generation, her job is 1 appointment a day. So she goes till she gets an appointment.
Oh, that's nice. In my office, I tell people the same things. And so, but I've always been telling them, you just got to pick up the phones, you got to pick up the phones. So I decided that, even though most of my job now is coaching and recruiting in my company, I decided every day, 9:30 to 10:30 in the morning, I go on Facebook Live in our company and I just start calling. So everybody can see me and they hear people rejecting me and they're hearing people saying whatever. And then they also hear, and I type in the notes on Facebook Live while I'm doing it, contact got email, contact didn't get email, contact. And then sometimes when I'm feeling low, because it's normal to feel low and you go through like 30, 40 minutes and you got nothing, to be like, it's completely normal to be feeling low right now. But I had the experience to know that lows lead to highs. You just got to keep on going. And so, it's just, that's the, I know you do the similar kind of thing. So, it's cool to hear that. And one more last question. This is a major one from somebody that's tuning into the show. Their question is, hey, Rachel, how do you door knock in the winter when it's cold?
Well, so we have, if it's pouring rain, we're not going to door knock, right? But here it's raining today. We have warm coats, and people, if you're door knocking when it's cold outside, they're like, dang, if you work, and I literally would tell you to tell them, I know it's freezing outside, but if I work this hard to sell the house that we have listed, how hard do you think I'd work to sell yours? Right? So use it to your advantage. If you're freezing out there and they think you're crazy for being out there, be like, you know what? It is a little bit crazy to be out here right now. You're totally right. But I'm good at what I do. And I'm a top agent for this reason. Or my office sold 135 houses last month or last year, whatever, because we're willing to do the things other agents aren't willing to do. And don't you want an agent who's willing to work hard for you?
Yeah, so I just came up with the script right now. So I've been knocking on all of your neighbors' doors because a lot of people have called me in to talk about the value of their home, and I'm freezing. Do you mind if I talk to you for a minute and come in? That's what you're doing. You're freezing outside. Awesome. And I have one more question over here.
Yeah.
Emily asks that you mentioned a list of what are the next items that you send buyers and sellers. You had a question. Would you be able to share your what's next flyers?
Yeah,
Does
I
that
can
ring a
send
bell?
it to you. Yeah, I can send it to you. It's
Awesome.
nothing. It's not going to be something you see and you're like, well, if you're a newer agent and you see this stuff, like I remember anytime I'd see a list that a top agent had, I was like, this is gold. And if it can help you, absolutely, I'll share it with you. And I do have a coaching series where I share every single system, flyer, script, everything we do in the whole business too.
Fantastic. Awesome. Rachel, first of all, thank you so much for joining us on this show. This was fantastic. And Rachel, if anybody wants to connect with you and engage in your coaching and just connect with you because you're awesome, how do they reach you? How do they learn about you? Tell them how to connect.
Cool. So the one website that really houses everything I do, it's called racheladamsinspire.com. It has my real estate coaching webinar series. It has my book and the wellness program. It has my Facebook, my YouTube page. The other thing too, if you're a new agent and you're wanting to learn some of the scripts that I've done or check out some of my webinars, you can go to my YouTube page and watch hours of stuff that I've done for free. And I'm always happy to share.
That is fantastic. Rachel, thank you so much for joining on the show. If anybody has any follow-up questions for me, my name is Michael Meier, the broker owner of Meier Real Estate. You can reach me on Facebook, Snapchat, or any of those fun places at Michael Meier NYC. Rachel, you're a rock star. Thank you for joining on the show. Thank you for paying it forward. And we are super excited to see how this next year continues to rock it up for you. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Michael. Appreciate you having me on.
Thank you so much. Bye.